Hello and welcome to the second episode of Vista Auto Talks. Uh, Today we're here to discuss about a recent collaboration of Vista and Big Rock Dirt Park. I have the Big Rock Dirt Park team here. I have Mr. Nikhil Balakrishnan, Head Marketing and Chief Instructor, and I have Mr. Ashok George, who is the Head Business of Big Rock Dirt Park, and I also have our director, the visionary behind the entire collaboration, Mr. Vivek Mohan. All right. So, question to Ashok. Tell us a little more about what Big Rock is all about.
So, Big Rock was founded almost a decade ago by founder C.S. Santosh, who is also India's first athlete to ever take part in the Dakar. The way it came about was that we noticed that there is a gap in there not being a facility where athletes or anyone who want to explore motorsport could come and learn how to safely take part in these competitions, how to safely ride a motorcycle off road, which also offered a very scientifically developed curriculum, right? And then it sort of started off with Santosh inviting a bunch of his friends to come and ride with him, where he would give them a little sort of tip here and there about how to ride better, and then it sort of grew into a larger business idea, and then before we knew it, we were a private limited company with 1,200 customers coming through our training programs every year. And actually, last year, we even trained the highest number of 2,000 customers for the year. So, we do a bunch of different things. One, of course, is that we train people across different, let's say, formats of motorcycling, whether it's flat track, whether it's enduro, whether it's motocross or adventure motorcycles, anything, any of these segments. And the second part of it is our events. So we run a whole bunch of motorsport events throughout the year. It starts at events that are strictly for amateurs. So anybody who wants to start exploring the world of motorsport but had does, hasn't had the opportunity to do it and also didn't know how to go about it. We've got an event called Trail Track that focuses on that, and then at the upper end of the echelon, we've got something called Ace of Dirt that we do with Red Bull, which is an invitation only sort of extreme enduro competition, which we see a lot of international athletes coming in to take part as well. And then we've got XE that we recently had, which sort of slots in the middle of these two. Um, we also work with a whole bunch of OEMs like Royal Enfield and KTM and Honda and a whole bunch of others as their R&D partners, as their customer experience partners, and a whole bunch of other consulting work as well. So, if you ask us, we're in the business of off-road motorcycling.
Good. That's good to hear. We'll talk a little more about the Extreme Enduro sport, right? Extreme Enduro 2024. So, Nikhil, please tell us a little more about what exactly is this event all about.
So, extreme enduro, as the name suggests, it's a little extreme and it's enduro. Enduro, in its core essence, is man and machine or woman and machine battling the elements. Could be man made, could be nature. So, we wanted to bring that element so that anybody and everybody can experience it. Like how Ashok was mentioning earlier, we had two events that we're already running. One was the amateur based event, which is also enduro based for amateurs only, beginners, called Trail Attack. And then we had a flagship, and then we had the other event with Red Bull called the Ace of Dirt. Now, that was a invitation only event, so we needed something where we could collide both worlds in terms of not just skill set that the competitors bring in, but also the scale of difficulty that both of these events have to offer. This was a place where amateurs can prove that they are athlete material and professionals get to prove why they are athletes. And of course, at the end of the day, it's all about building a community. Me, as a core, by heart, if you ask me, I'm an enthusiast. I like watching it, I like organizing it, I like participating in it as well. So for us, it's more the more events that we can cater to help gather more people and enjoy motorcycling, especially riding off road. It's always great for us. So that's where Extreme Enduro fits in for us.
Interesting. So, Vivek, please tell us a little more about how does say why did Vista choose to partner with say an event like Extreme Enduro?
See, I mean, of course, we are a young brand, a young auto care brand. So, what we haven't done before and where we want to actually focus on is, associating with the motorsport community of India, and also help in bringing up the young motorsport talent in India. So why? Because let's say tomorrow, like your cousin or your brother, whoever wants to buy a bike, or your sister, and they'll come and ask you, and then you recommend, and they're not going to think much. So that's the whole idea. We want to connect with the people. So then that is where the public is. I mean, that's the public is going to connect with them. So one is more connect with the product, and also one, like what I said, apart from just the business aspect of it, we want to really bring up the motorsport talent in India, because I guess India it's coming up, but then we have a long way to go.
Right.
And we also have produced drivers that have gone all the way up to Formula One and all these top tier categories of racing. So that means the talent is there. The talent, but we need to give opportunity for people to come up. So that's the whole idea of associating with Extreme Enduro and Big Rock.
Interesting, interesting. Well, that's good to hear. Nikhil, please tell us a little more about what was, say, different, or what were the key or say challenges that you faced on ground at, say, the Extreme Enduro 2024.
Well, challenges are plenty. Challenges are plenty. So, yeah, man, like everything's a challenge if you look at it when you're trying to organize an event of any scale. Even more so when you have to organize an event such as the scale of, say, Extreme Enduro. There's professionals that we need to cater to, there's amateurs that we need to cater to, there's spectators that we need to cater to. We need to ensure that we have all the permits in place, we ensure that the safety measures are in place. So if you ask me what's the challenge, the event on the whole,
The sponsors have to be happy.
yeah, the sponsors have to be happy, right? So everything's a challenge for an organizer when it comes to an event. So biggest challenge is ensuring that the first bike starts. Like when that first bike starts, that's 90% of your job done. Then onwards, it's all smooth sailing. So the event itself is a challenge for us.
But Nikhil, you mentioned about the safety aspect. Now that is something that I caught my interest, and I think that is something. Is that the key area of focus? Because from what we see in the track, I mean, though you're focusing on amateur and professional, I think as the name goes, Extreme Enduro, it's like testing, your it takes you to the limits, because I did see your track. I mean, I visited your park and I also saw the entire event. I mean, it's crazy.
Yes. So in terms of safety, there are multiple marshals that are placed around the course, and these points can be accessed within a couple of minutes of an incident that's being reported. It could be either by foot, or most likely it's not, but most of the times it can be accessed by an ambulance. So there are always there were three ambulances that were in place at Extreme Enduro. One was out there on the trail, and there two were parked inside the facility. So that at any point of time, if at all there was a request for a medical emergency, for a medical evac or anything of that nature, we could address it on the spot, right? So there's regulations that we need to follow in terms of what the ambulances need to carry, the kind of personnel that need to be there with the ambulance. So all of those things are taken into consideration. And before the federation signs off on the event, we have to tell them what the safety plan is. The safety plan is basically the number of ambulances that are coming, the number of personnel that's there inside the ambulance, and the safety plan also needs to contain a route that is available for the ambulances to get to the nearest healthcare center or the advanced life support system that they might need. The ambulances are also equipped with advanced life support, but if in case they need to reach the hospital to get it, what's the nearest hospital and what's the quickest way? And these need to be charted out from different points of the course so that it's easier to execute it when the case might arise.
So I think it's two aspects, right? There's two sort of parts to this. One is mandated safety requirements that the federation itself says that, and you cannot run an event without it.
Yeah.
And which is what Nikhil was saying, that it needs to be X number of ALS ambulances, BLS ambulances. You need to sort of like know where the nearest hospital is, how many beds, what kind of care is available, all of that. And then there's also, as an organization, what Big Rock sort of strives to sort of push beyond that. So, for example, one of the things that we make sure is that at the park, everybody, all of the staff is certified as first responders.
Okay.
Yeah, so we know that if there is an incident, no matter who's there at the park, they know how to take care of you and make sure.
So that's one of the trainings they go through when they.
Yes.
So every year we get recertified as first responders.
Okay.
Interesting. So, yeah. So speaking about safety for say riders and the bikes, I believe Vista did say collaborate with Big Rock for this particular event, especially on say offering one of its say flagship products. So can you tell us a little more about in the safety aspect, be it the bike or the rider? Tell us a little more about what products did
Yep.
of Vista did offer or say did help this particular event happen.
Of course, I mean, as the name goes, Vista Auto Care, we are focused on all the auto care products. But then, when it comes to two-wheelers, bike care, there are two things that we focus. One is the bike itself, of course, and the rider. And that's very important. That is where I think we really differentiate ourselves as a brand. And we do have products for, the bike, which could be, your chain lubricants, your cleaners, your throttle body cleaners, your, from a safety aspect, of course, your brake cleaner. Because, in such events, there's a lot of dust accumulation and that kind of gets into the performance of each of these components, machines end of the day. And apart from that, right now, we also focus on products for the rider. Like the hygiene and of course the safety of the rider, because that is very important. Be it the riding gear like your boots or your riding jackets or your helmets. We also focus on keeping the hygiene level of the rider always up there and ensuring the driver is always fresh, so the focus is always on the track or always on riding for people who don't, get into such activities. Who don't get into motorsports. One of our flagship products, one of the products, that I would like to talk about, and of course is a flagship product, is Helmet Clean. Because, primarily we are a chemical company. Our parent company, Resil Chemicals, it's a specialty chemical company, and we work on multiple chemistries, but one of our strong chemistry is silver. So silver is known as, an antibacterial. It has applications across various industries. So we have a patented technology for the same, and then that's what goes into the Helmet Clean. So what you focus on is, of course, keeping the rider hygiene always at check. So, and it also ensures that rider is also constantly fresh and focused. So that is one thing, and of course, apart from the helmet, we have for the boots and the gear, like all the riding gears, like your jackets and everything.
Interesting.
That's how the connect with the brand comes.
Yeah, this slots in very nice with the way the community is also evolving. So if you think about it earlier, everybody just wanted to buy a motorcycle. They didn't think about what you have to do after you buy the motorcycle or what care you need to take after the motorcycle. Now the shift has happened in the community wherein now riding gear budgeting is also happening with the motorcycle itself. Like when they're deciding to buy which motorcycle to buy, they're also doing a little bit of research and prepping for the gear that they need to buy. Now, just like that transition happened, like, oh, I just need to buy the bike, then, okay, I need to take care of it as well. And now to, okay, bike, taking care plus riding gear. So the next step is, of course, for the community to embrace the steps that they need to take care of their riding gear to help them achieve whatever that they are out for and being comfortable in it and, of course, being hygienic. Because that is something that's not really discussed if you think about it, right? So that comes in a very sweet spot.
And you see this trend coming in with all the OEMs. I mean, you're working with a lot of manufacturers, right? One thing we were discussing before this, this talk show is that, you take an example of Royal Enfield. You were in fact telling me, Ashok was telling me, you walk into a Royal Enfield showroom, you're confused. Is it actually a bike showroom or is it like a merchandising brand? I mean, do they have... So if you look at this trend, you see all the manufacturers right now offer their gears, like be it like, mainly I think right now the focus is always on jackets, but then I see that trend coming in. And also care products are of high importance right now because we also work with OEMs and they're always asking on the same, okay, what is it new that you could offer to the customers? One, okay, what is it new you could offer for the bike? How could you ensure the life is, the maintenance of the bike is taken care, but what can you offer for the customer to use, the customer to be the actual consumer of the product. So that is where, we differentiate. That's what,
like you were saying, it's the awareness or the education of the customer about these products are also, like, I personally feel that's the step one. Like, like you were saying about the Silver Tech, right? It's something like whenever we've used helmet sanitizers and sprays, we don't know what's in it. So the moment you lead with a story saying that, oh, why this is so effective, then there's like a whole ecosystem that is willing to accept a product that is actually superior to everything else and actually works.
No, so that's the whole idea. I mean, see, one is, of course, be one of the guys in the industry, but other one is adding value to the customer, differentiating or creating better customer experience. That's what you guys are also doing, creating better customer experience. So
I would say it's more about adding value than anything else. Because at the end of the day, an experience can be anything. But does that experience add value to somebody is a big question and a big thing to fill.
no, about that, right? I mean, interestingly, when you talk to a lot of people in the industry, I mean, be it in the industry or any industry for that matter, everyone says India is a price sensitive market. But I don't agree to that. India is a value driven market. The customer is willing to pay if that product is adding the right good. I mean, if that product is adding value to him or her. So that's what we focus on. We don't go with that route of price sensitivity, but adding value, like that's the focus point.
Well, I agree to Vivek on that. Of it's not a price-sensitive market, but rather it's a value-driven market. So tell us a little more about what value did Vista add to, say, the entire sporting community for an event like this.
Just Vista coming on board for the event was a big thing for us. It just gives us a lot more room in terms of what we can offer the community. It can be one of the other safety aspects that we were able to implement because of you guys' collaboration was the safety barriers that you saw near the start gate and other places as well. That ensures that it's just not the participants that are safe, but also the spectators. Like that's just one small part, but it's plays such a big impact on the event, right? So yeah, Vista's collaboration for this event was like I can't even say it out in words. Probably he can say it out better.
I mean, I think, like as we were discussing when we started off, right, the motorsport scene in India has been nascent for a while, right? It needs a push because the talent is there, as you were saying.
Right.
The opportunities are there, and we have enough enthusiasts out there who want to explore it. I think for us, with any collaboration that we do with our motorsport events, it's all about elevating the experience for the participant and then delivering equal value, whether it is to the partner or to the participant or being fair to us as a company as well, right? So with you guys coming on board, I think we were able to scale up the experience factor for all of the participants. One, like the sheer fact that there was a bike wash station there where people could just come in and not, that's one less thing for a competitor to think about, right? Like where back when we were racing, we had to figure out how to sort of like go where to wash the bike. Sometimes we'll walk around with one bucket in the scrutiny area just to clean up the bikes and all that. Just that one small thing is something that all of these competitors go back and think about, and sort of like it adds immense amounts of value. And maybe for you and me, it might have been just like a small thing we did, but when you look at it from a competitor's perspective, it's something that they value a lot, right? So the fact that with you guys we were able to elevate that experience for us was like, it was very precious.
I think that's something that I experienced personally as well being at the event because nobody wants to, especially people who care about their bike so much, the participants. Like I saw almost every participants come to the experience center and say get their bikes washed. So yes,
Because I think the whole thing is driven by passion, right? That is where I see, value coming in between. I mean, in this collaboration, because for you, Big Rock, this event, Extreme Enduro, and whatever you do, is actually driven by passion. Because I'm sure this doesn't feel like a job for you. And working with Mr. Santosh himself, so over here at Vista is also all about that. It's driven by passion. So I think that is where I think because of that, I think that is the biggest value add for the customer because you focus on that.
right. All right. Moving to the last part of this episode. Question to both of you, Nikhil and Ashoki. What is your message to the upcoming, say, athletes or the motorsport enthusiasts in our country, and what does, say, Big Rock has to offer?
And I will leave that up to Ashok. He's more responsible.
So I think the message that Big Rock has.
Yes, I am driven by passion. So
I think the only message that we always strive towards is that don't stop exploring. Like going out there and creating your own adventure, especially on two wheels, is really amazing. We've done it for decades as part of our personal journeys. We've ridden all across the world. And it always gives you a perspective that you cannot find anywhere else. So the fact that we are able to enable that kind of adventure and make it more accessible to people, everyday people, whether it is in the stream of just going out there and touring and seeing the world, or whether it is actually competing in these races that we've created. The only message that we've always said is that we are here to enable any adventure that you can think of. So as long as somebody who comes to Big Rock and races or trains with us goes out there and see them out exploring, I think we've done our job well.
Big Rock is the place to go. All right. So Vivek, last question. What does Vista say future goals in terms of collaborations like this, and what can say our audience expect?
See, firstly, one is of course Vista has to be. I mean, we want to take Vista, as that name where people associate with the care of their vehicles. And of course, like I said, right now we are focusing on a lot of consumer products, which a rider or like a driver could use and see benefit for him or herself. But apart from all of that, one is on that business aspect. But apart from all of that is to build a brand that the community can connect with. That's more important. And of course, like I said, the talent is there in India.
Right.
It's just that it's not really accessible by people. And of course, you give the opportunity, you're going to see the best talents coming from India. So that's the whole idea to, uplift the motorsport, the motorsport spirit in India, and bring out the talent, and also eventually play a significant role in the industry. I mean, in the motorsport space. Hopefully, have our team in the future. So let's see.
Well, you know whom to contact to make that happen.
All right, guys. With that, we come to the end of episode 2. We'll see you on another episode of Vista Auto Talks. Thank you.